But I'm so thankful. I'm humble, I'm thankful, I'm grateful to the Red Cross. Had it not been for the Red Cross, I probably wouldn't have known where my parents were, or if they were alive, I wouldn't have known. Hello, my name is Ruth Koha James. I currently work with the Red Cross in the Boston office as a collection specialist. So I'm originally from Liberia. Liberia, it's a country located in West Africa. The Liberian Civil War started in the end of 1989. At the time, I had just graduated from high school, and I was a freshman in college. My dad used to work at the University of Liberia at the time, so we live on the staff. We live in the staff housing, Fender, Fender campus. So I used to live there as a last child. I lived with my parents at the time. So I remember this evening I got on the staff bus. It was probably one of the last staff buses that went to Fender, and I went home. And for some reason, something just prompted me, like, take your bag and go back to town. I went to Painesville, Monrovia. My family home is there. Um, my sister was there at the time, but she moved with her husband, who was a foreign national, to the Lutheran guest house. And if you know about the Lutheran church massacre, it was one of the most brutal massacre that happened in the first phase. Now, the Liberian Civil War came in phases, so the first phase of the war. So I think probably over 600 people got massacred in that church. But we were at the guest house, which was like adjacent to the church. The next morning, early in the morning, my sister, her family, and another colleague of my dad who had a Ghanaian background, she said, we got to get out of here. So we walk over to the Ghanaian embassy. They let us in, and we stayed there until the ship came to take Ghanaians away, and we managed to get on that ship. So I did not know where my parents were. I did not know if they were alive or where they were. But then, International Red Cross tracing. They started tracing, going from, like refugee camp to another refugee camp and just helping people. And to my surprise, thankfully, they got to find my parents. And then we communicated. They were in Sierra Leone. So we communicated and we reunited. So my mother used to work with the UNDP, United Nations Development Program in Liberia. They used to bring refugees. It's United Nations. They used to bring refugees there and ask for families to take them in. So there was this girl called Elizabeth. I think she came from South Africa, and they brought her in. And my mom was so drawn to that girl, and she was like, I have girls here. If ever something like this happened, I would want someone to do this for me. So she took her in. I don't think it ever crossed in her mind that her girls would face the same situation, but she took her in. And it's just like life. What is life? You never know. It did change my entire perspective of life. Here was I. My dad worked at the university. I had his fringe benefit. I will go to school. It's like I had my life, planned. But one disaster can just, turn your whole life around, and you never know. So it's a thing like you never say never, because you never know where your life will end up or who will come to your aid. So that did change my perspective, and it makes me want to not lose a single opportunity. If even someone's listening to this conversation, I want them to think and to think twice. I volunteer for Red Cross, and I'm always willing to volunteer for Red Cross or whoever needs me. because you never know. The one thing that you miss to do, you could be missing an opportunity to save someone. If Red Cross had not done the family tracing, or maybe someone had just said, oh, let me just not put this name on the list, I wouldn't have known. I would have been probably like a lost child, you know, not knowing. So, yes, it did change my perspective.